Hi, good evening. How are you? Awesome. Welcome to Bedtime Bible Stories. This show is for mature audiences only. Viewer discretion is advised. Now that you've been advised, press like and subscribe. Then take your pills. We're a lot a bit late, so take your pills, pack a bowl, grab your smokes, get comfy. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna get comfy too. So let's get comfy. Make sure you have your bedtime beverage, your nightly reward for keeping people alive, which is important ish. Cheers. Now, press like. Did you make sure you press like? Press like on the video, not just on my social media, please, but also, please, on my video, whatever platform you're watching this on. YouTube, Rumble, BitChute, Vimeo. Hold on, I'll tell you what it's called. Vimeo. Or Instagram, because I got an Instagram. So, make sure you press like in one or all of those places. Then, let's smoke it, drink it, and read it. Oh, real quick. I switched Bibles. I'm no longer doing the Catholic Bible. Because apparently the Catholic Bible doesn't have all the books of the Bible. So, I changed us to, what is it called? NRSA. I think it's New Revised something or other, but it's revised. And this has all the other apocrypha books. Apocrypha books. So this is the Bible that has them. So this is the Bible we're going to be reading until we finish with these books. Then we're on to the New Testament. But until then, we've got these books. So now that we're done, cheers. Now let's smoke it, drink it, and read it. 2 Maccabees 5. About this time, Antiochus made his second invasion of Egypt. This should have been first. I just want to say that. And it happened. For almost 40 days, there appeared over all the and it happened that for almost 40 days, there appeared over all the city golden-clad cavalry, charging through the air in companies, fully armed with lances and drawn swords. Okay, something's missing. 3 troops of cavalry, drawn up, attacks and counterattacks made on this side and that, brandishing of shields, massing of spears, hurling of missiles. What are these? the flash of golden trappings, and armor of all kinds. Mm. Therefore, everyone prayed that the apparition might prove to have been a good omen. Mm. When a false rumor arose that Antiochus was dead, Jason took no fewer than 1,000 men and suddenly made an assault on the city. When the troops on the wall had been forced back, and at last the city was being taken, Menelaus took refuge in the citadel. But Jason kept relentlessly slaughtering his compatriots, not realizing that success at the cost of one's kin is the greatest misfortune. But imagining that he was setting up trophies of victories over his enemies and not compatriots. He did not, however, gain control of the government. In the end, he got only disgrace from his conspiracy and fled again into the country of the Ammonites. Finally, he met a miserable end, accused before Arthas, the ruler of the Arabs, fleeing from city to city, pursued by everyone, hated as a rebel against the laws, harbored as the executioner of his country and compatriots. He was cast ashore in Egypt. There, he, who had driven many from their own country into exile, died in exile, having embarked to go to Lacedaemonius in hope of finding protection because of their kinship. He who had cast out many to lie unburied had no one to mourn for him. He had no funeral of any sort and no place in the tomb of his ancestors. This guy sucks to be that guy. When news of what had happened, when the king found out, he took it to mean that Judea was in revolt. So imagining, no. So raging inwardly, he left Egypt and took the city by storm. Okay, so Jason is what started the last book. Why wasn't this book first? See, why wasn't this book first? Okay. He commanded his soldiers to cut down relentlessly everyone they met and to kill those who went into their houses. Then there was a massacre of young, old, destruction of boys, women, children, and the slaughter of young girls and babies. Within the total of 3 days, 80,000 were destroyed and 40,000 in hand-to-hand fighting. What? Never mind. This is a really good meme, if you can see it. Anyway, within the total of 3 days, 80,000 were destroyed, 40,000 in hand-to-hand fighting, and many were sold. Many were sold and were killed. Not content with this, Antiochus dared to enter the most holy temple in all the world, guided by Menelaus, who had become a traitor to both the laws and his country. This guy. Damn. I got a lot of good memes and I can't. I can't make them bigger on here. Okay. So, 80,000 were destroyed. Menelaus. Okay. He took the holy vessels with his polluted hands and swept away with profane hands the votive offerings that other kings had made to enhance the glory and honor of the place. This guy. Okay. Antiochus was elated in spirit, did not perceive that the Lord was angered for a little, well, because of the sins of those who lived in the city. Hold on. Antiochus was elated in spirit, did not perceive that the Lord was angered for a little while because of the sins of those who lived in the city. And this was the reason he was disregarding the holy place. So God was only a little bit angry. So dude was like, I can get away with this. God's only a little bit mad. Okay. But if it had not happened that they were involved in many sins, this man would have been flogged and turned back from his rash act as soon as he came forward, just as Heliodorus had been, whom King Seleucus sent to inspect the treasury. No, that was not inspecting the treasury. Dude was about to steal all that money. No, he wasn't going to inspect it. That's why dude was freaking out. But the Lord did not choose the nation for the sake of the holy place, but the holy place for the sake of the nation. Yes, it's like what Jesus said, right? Jesus said this. God didn't make man for the Sabbath. He made Sabbath for the man. Ah, is that where Jesus gets that from? Interesting. Therefore, the place itself shared in the misfortunes that befell the nation, and afterward participated in its benefits. And what was forsaken in the wrath of the Almighty was restored again, and all its glory when the great Lord became reconciled. Hold on. Misfortunes. Okay, so like the church was shit with you guys. When you guys get better, the church will get better. So Antiochus carried off 1,800 talents from the temple and hurried away to Antioch, thinking in his arrogance he could sail on land and walk on sea because his mind was elated. So, dude was taking some DMT, some ancient ecstasy. I don't know that to be true. He left governors to oppress the people at Jerusalem. Philip, by birth, a Phrygian, Phry, magician. Okay, Phrygian. And in character, more barbarous than the men who appointed him. So, this is a tough guy. And at Gerizim, Andronicus, and besides these, come on, come on, come on. Okay, okay. So, is he living Philip? Okay, Philip is at Jerusalem. Gerizim and Andronicus is at Gerizim. And besides these, Melanus, who lorded over his compatriots worse than the others did, and his malice towards the Jews. I don't want to say they deserve it, but Antiochus sent Apollonius, the captain of the Mysians. Are these the Mayans? With an army of 22,000, it commanded him to kill all the grown men. If it's a grown ass man, he's gotta go. And to sell the women and boys as slaves. So, it's not a white guy thing, I guess. When this man arrived in Jerusalem, he pretended to be peacefully deposed and waited until the holy Sabbath day. Then, finding the Jews not at work, he ordered his troops to parade under arms. I don't exactly know what this means. He put the sword to those who came out to see them, then rushed into the city with his armed warriors and killed great numbers of people. Okay, so this one was first. Why is it called number 2 if it's number 1? Oh my god, this book is number 2. But Mac, who we read about in the previous book, with about 9 others, John and his 2 brothers, John and Simon, were some of them, got away to the wilderness, kept himself and his companions alive in the mountains as wild animals do. They continued to live on what grew wild, so they might not share in the defilement. All right. Give me 1 second. We will be right back. Okay. So we are now on chapter 6. And it says, not long after this, the king sent an Athenian senator to compel the Jews to forsake the laws of their ancestors and no longer live by the laws of God. Okay, so this makes the other book make sense. Why wasn't this book first? They got this shit so fucked up. So, not long after this, the king sent an Athenian senator to compel the Jews to forsake the laws of their ancestors and no longer to live by the laws of God, to pollute the temple in Jerusalem and call it the temple of Zeus, and to call the one in Gerizim the temple of Zeus, friend of stranger. So is there two Zeuses? There's Zeus the Olympian and Zeus the friend of strangers. Interesting, very, very interesting. Harsh and utterly grievous was the onslaught of evil, for the temple was filled with debauchery and reveling by the Gentiles, who dallied with prostitutes and had intercourse with women within the sacred precincts, and besides brought things in for sacrifice that were unfit. Ugh. The altar was covered with abominable offerings that were forbidden by the laws. Yeah, see, this book should have been first. Because this makes the whole last book totally makes sense. Because we remember, like, what the fuck is even going on? But now we see what the fuck was even going on. Hold on. That were forbidden. People could neither keep the Sabbath or observe the festivals of their ancestors, nor so much as confess themselves to be Jews. This is why they keep promising what they keep. You can have your festivals, because they took them away. See, this makes so much more sense. On the monthly celebration of the king's birthday. So the king had a birthday every month. Well, no wonder they keep thinking they're so old. If you have a birthday every month, this is crazy. I mean, my birthday lasts a week, so I can't really say anything, but a month though. Every month. The Jews were taken under bitter constraint to partake of the sacrifices. When a festival of Dionysus was celebrated, they were compared to wear wreaths of ivy and walk in the procession in honor of Dionysus. Isn't this one of the king's names? At the suggestion of the people of Ptolemy, a decree was issued to the neighboring Greek cities that they should adopt the same policy toward the Jews and make them partake of the sacrifices. This is where this is where it happens. So they're Greek cities where Judas and them are. They're in different places. Okay, they're in neighboring places. And should kill those who did not choose to change over to Greek customs. One could see, therefore, the misery that had come upon them. For example, 2 women were brought in for having circumcised their children. They publicly paraded them around the city with their babies hanging at their breasts. And why? I'm not reading that. I'm sorry. You had enough time to read that. I'm not. Others who had assembled in the caves nearby in order to observe the seventh day secretly were betrayed to Philip and were burned together because their piety kept them from defending themselves in view of their regard for that most holy day. Not even a weapon, though, big guy. Listen, big guy. Why? I mean, I guess. I don't know why. Okay. Now, I urge those who read this book, do not be depressed by such calamities, but to recognize these punishments were designed not to destroy, but discipline our people. Did it work? I mean, obviously, this guy was reading my mind right now because I didn't get it. But if that's what you say. In fact, it is a sign of great kindness not to let the impious alone for long, but to punish them immediately. That is the thing, ain't it? That's exactly what happened. We left the impious alone for long. We should have punished them. Right when we tried to take them in Operation Mockingbird, should have not did that. For in the case of the other nations, the Lord waits patiently to punish them until they have reached the full measure of their sins. But he does not deal in this way with us. Hold on. For in the case of other nations, The Lord waits patiently to punish them till they have reached full measure of their sins. They have to be at about full measure now. In order that he might not take vengeance on us afterward when our sins have reached their height. Therefore, in order that he might not take vengeance on us, but you should. Therefore, he never withdraws his mercy. Although he disciplines us with calamities, he does not forsake his own people. Have you read the Old Testament? Well, I guess you're writing the Old Testament, so probably not. Let what we have said as a reminder. We must go on briefly with the story. Let what we have said serve as a reminder. We must go on briefly with the story. Oh my God. Is this David's Eleazar? Probably not. Eleazar, one of the scribes in high position, a man now advanced in age and of noble presence, was being forced to open his mouth to eat bacon. But he, welcoming death with honor rather than his life with pollution, went up to the rack of his own accord, spitting out the flesh. What rag? The rack. Oh, hold on. As all ought to go, as all ought to go, who have the courage to refuse things that is not right to taste, even for the natural love of life, as all ought to go, who have the courage. Oh, so put yourself on the rack instead of do this shit. Those who were in charge of that unlawful sacrifice took the man aside because of their long acquaintance and privately urged him to bring meat of his own providing, proper for him to use, and to pretend that he was eating the flesh of the sacrificial meal, so that by doing this he might be saved from death and be treated kindly on account of his old friendship with them. But making a high resolve worthy of his years and the dignity of his old age and the gray hairs he had reached with distinction all his excellent life, even from childhood. Moreover, according to the holy God-given law, he declared himself quickly, telling them, "Send me to Hades." Shouldn't he just said the pit, Sheol, but it's Hades now. Okay. Such pretense is not worthy of our time of life. For many of the young might suppose that Eleazar in his 90th year had gone over to an alien religion. And through my pretense, for the sake of living a brief moment They would be led astray because of me, while I defile and disgrace my own age. Even if, for the present, I even if, for the present, I would avoid the punishment of mortals, yet, whether I live or die, I will not escape the hands of God. Therefore, by bravely giving up my life now, I will show myself worthy of my old age. And leave the young a noble example of how to die a good death, willingly and nobly for the revered and holy laws. When he had said this, he went at once to the rack. The rack. Do I even want to know what this is? Oh my God. Okay. The rack. They tie you to something. It's used as a torture device. A bed-like open frame suspended above the ground that was used as a torture device. Oh. Alright, you tie your hands and feet to it, and then you spin yourself until you turn into mush, I guess. I don't know, but that sounds terrible, right? Something is happening. Okay. So he willingly went to that thing. Those who, a little before, had acted toward him with goodwill changed to ill will because he was talking shit and went to punish himself. He's like, fuck you guys. When he was about to die under the blows, he groaned aloud and said, "It is clear to the Lord in his holy knowledge that though I might have been saved from death, I am enduring terrible sufferings in my body under this beating. But in my soul, I am glad to suffer these things because I fear him." So, in this way, he died, leaving in his death an example of nobility, and a memorial of courage, not only to the young, but to the great body of his nation. Wow, that's crazy. Something is happening. Anyway, okay. That's crazy. So, thank you for watching. We had such a great time. So, thank you for watching. I love you. Enjoy the rest of your bedtime beverage. Pack a bowl, smoke one more cigarette. That have the sweetest dreams ever.